talk about how they got into a hole in that game. I remember, I think he's going to scramble for a first down.
Yeah.
And he falls like when my son was 3, and sometimes he'd run and there would be nothing in front of him and he just falls. Who does that at that level? Those are the things. And then the interceptions, sometimes I can remember a game against Missouri, he has Devon A-Chain so wide open and he hit him for like a 50-yard completion. But if he hadn't thrown it so poorly, it would have been a touchdown. And then he threw an interception like 2 plays later. And it was just the crazy mistakes that just drove you crazy with that, guys.
Yeah, and again, in the SEC, you don't have that margin of error. You just do not, which is why, help me remember, the Missouri game was after Alabama, the week after,
yes, the
right?
week after.
Which they won easily.
Yeah.
But there was nothing like, it was a good first half, but there was just like, afterwards. Like, you wanted to see more, and that happened so much last season. The New Mexico game, I wanted to see more. Kent State, I wanted to see more. There were a lot of games. That was
Haynes.
Haynes, yeah. But I wanted to see more. There was moments I was like, yeah, it's a little close for me in the second quarter, and let's go.
Well, I come back to the Mississippi State game when you get into the red zone 4 times and have to kick 3 field goals. I come back to Auburn. You won that game. You didn't score an offensive touchdown. You did not score an offensive touchdown in that game. And quite frankly, so many of the times the problem was not able to score touchdowns in the red zone. And that's not all on Zach Calzada, but a lot of times it was.
Yesterday we were talking about people we really want to see today. And I think mine was Chris Marshall. Another one I want to see, LJ Johnson. I want to watch LJ because I saw him play in high school. I have high aspirations for what he can be when fully healthy, especially complementing him with what Amari Daniels does and what A-Chain does.
Yeah, and he's a powerful back, so he'd be a nice change of pace. Because they're probably gonna run A-Chain 2, maybe 3 series, and then let him set out 1 and bring him back. And if you're tired from chasing A-Chain around, and then all of a sudden here comes a big, strong guy right at you. He may be running through some arm tackle.
Yeah, he might be. I'll be focusing in on him this week for sure. We get to go today, tomorrow, and Friday, and I think Sunday too.
Sunday is a press conference.
Just press conference Sunday. Okay. All right, let's go to the news and the social center. Kay Nagley, good morning, Kay.
Good morning. Yeah, I had to correct OB.
It's okay.
31 days.
It's okay.
If we're going to be exact.
It's a month, but that's all right. We can still be friends, even though, I won the argument. Go ahead.
The players reported yesterday, and then now today begins all the fun. We will hear from 2 players that have not been announced yet in Jimbo later on today, as well get a few clips of practices. I know David and OB will be there for that, so stay tuned for that. Texas A&M's Wade wins the World Athletics U20 Championship gold. All-American Kennedy Wade won gold as a member of Team USA's mixed 4x400 relay at the World Athletics U Championships on Tuesday at the Estadio Olímpico Pasco Guerrero.
Look at that pronunciation. Look at that.
Who is this Kennedy Wade?
And Aggie.
And what are they in?
The mixed 4x4 relay.
Mixed 4x4. Yes. That's interesting.
Fellow All-American and Aggie Ashton Schwartzman advanced to the men's 400-meter semifinal after placing second, and he will race later on today. And then Heather Abadi will compete in the women's pole vault final today as well.
Good times.
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I never knew or met a woman or heard of a woman in my life named Kennedy.
But now they're all over.
And now they're like infested. We got 2 here, and now she's reading.
You don't remember MTV?
There's one over in the corner.
There was an MTV VJ back in the 80s or 90s, Kennedy.
Yeah. I gave up on MTV pretty quick, but I remember when it was Martha Quinn and Nina Blackwood, who was kind of hot.
Hey,
by the way,
you might know her. Kennedy from MTV is now a Fox News commentator. There you go.
Maybe I know her, and maybe it's just ever registered, but I don't think I've ever known a Kennedy. Anybody, guy. Wait. Did they have a basketball player here named Kennedy not long ago? Girls basketball, women's basketball player?
I'm forgetting.
I'm blinking.
I'm blinking on
okay.
that. Yeah.
Not sure. Very popular name, though.
Carter?
Sydney Carter.
Sydney Carter, yeah.
I thought it was a Kennedy Carter.
No.
Okay.
Hey,
See? Makes my point.
so everybody on their DVR, rewind to when we were talking about football.
Yeah, we'll get
start,
back to
We'll start
football.
from there. Hey, who do you think is going to speak today? If you had to take an educated guess, who are some of the names you're thinking?
It was a Kennedy Carter. She's first round back draft choice. She just spelled it with a CH, says Richard Zane.
Well, Richard Zane, he's the fact checker. He knows.
He is. Okay, so what was the question?
I forget. No, who do you think, if you were to guess, who's going to be the speaker today? Who's going to talk for A&M?
Oh, gosh.
Got to be an offensive lineman, right? Got to be
Well,
one.
if it is, it's Layton Robinson.
Yeah, but he spoke last week or 2 weeks ago at SEC Media Days. Does he speak again today? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. He's such a good speaker.
Yeah.
But,
Does Anais speak today?
He's one of their favorites.
Yeah.
And he's one of my favorites. Maybe A-Chain.
A-Chain? Okay.
I don't think they'll bring a quarterback out there.
So I would say if there's two people, one defender, one offensive player.
I would think so. And then the defensive player.
So Damani went last week. Antonio Johnson and Anais Smith. That's my guess for the day.
Antonio Anais. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good guess. It means I'm going to be wrong, but I think it's a good guess.
Antonio Anais.
Maybe the person who's going to speak later on today is who our number 18 is on our 22 and 22. Maybe.
I just like saying his name.
It's
So
not
we'll
a bad
leave it
name
at
to
that.
say.
Yeah, I like the name.
Did you say it without us?
I haven't said it yet.
Okay.
I like the name, though.
Hold it. I want people to hold on. And yes, we hear that there's some issues with YouTube. We'll take care of that here momentarily. Right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. They've been around for over 140 years. And your financial gifts have empowered them to be here, to be there, to be everywhere. And the association, what they do is they give. They just continue to give back, and they've done it to Aggies who are current students and former students as well. We're talking scholarships, Aggie bands, silver taps, rain day, class reunions, muster, tailgate, traveling Aggies. That is what the association does. And they help so many different programs, services, and traditions that Aggies love all around the world. And that's why I'm encouraging you to check out IamTheWhy.com, because it tells their story, their reasons. And the reasons are your story. So IamTheWhy.com is a collection of stories of Aggies who have gone through so much, where you can upload your story as well and tell them what you've persevered through, some of your great times here in Aggie land and beyond. It's a wonderful website, IamTheWhy.com. Again, that website, IamTheWhy.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Boys and Girls Club is hosting a back-to-school supply giveaway this Saturday. Come out from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. for free food, free backpacks, and more. The REACH Project is hosting a free pop-up health fair at the Brazos Valley African American Museum on Sunday from 2 to 6 p.m. The Keep Brazos Beautiful Annual Awards Luncheon is Thursday, August 11th at the Hilton in College Station. To purchase tickets or for sponsorship info, email Allison at keepbrazosbeautiful.org. Kids ages 5 to 14 are invited to Back to Cool, a free open hockey skate event at Spirit Ice Arena on Friday, August 12th. Participants must have full hockey equipment to participate. Register at brazosvalleyhockey.org/camps clinics. Sign up now for the Zone All Access email newsletter. Find out the guest lineups, the giveaways, and take advantage of exclusive contesting and deals. Sign up now at zone1150.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Day 209 on the island. There is still no rescue in sight. I long for the simple comforts of home. The leather seats, the spacious interior, the 12.3-inch touchscreen display, and of course, the panoramic moonroof. If I could only gaze through it one more time.
Jerry!
What?
Stop talking about your Highlander and help me with the raft!
Frank seems more agitated than normal lately. Could it possibly be because he too misses my Toyota Highlander?
No, Jerry, it's not because I miss your Highlander. And stop acting like I can't hear you!
Yes, that must be it. Comparing his sad raft to my sleek-looking Highlander has finally broken him.
Just stop.
Experience the unforgettable 2022 Toyota Highlander for yourself. Visit your local dealer or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. See packages and options at Toyota.com for feature availability.
Since 1957, Slovakic Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacic is the official sausage of Texas A&M athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacic. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacic Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Seth Greenberg is with us, Jay.
What up, baby?
Hey, Will, that's a big-time shirt right there.
You know the producer put him up to that.
I love it.
What would happen if we took a lumberjack shirt and put a garbage bag, cut it in half, and put it in front of
It would be called fashion.
It would be called fashion, apparently.
Spend your mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Mornings from 5 to 8 here on The Zone.
When I wake up in the morning and the love gives out a warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. By the time I grab my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus.
Kind of saw yourself as AC Slater.
Kind of a mix of AC Slater and Zach Morris. A little
Really?
mix.
Really?
I wouldn't wear a tank top to lunch ever. He would wear it to school. That's not me.
Well, I wonder if when you were in high school, if you were jacked, if you wore.
I was not jacked in high school.
I know, but had you been, you might have.
I
worn
probably
it.
would.
Yeah, probably.
It is TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We have Saved by the Bell. We're going to play some school songs because not it's the first day of school, but it's kind of like the first day of school, at least football school. First day. It's here, my friend. We got practice starting here shortly.
Woohoo!
What he said.
Woohoo! Practice. Let's go.
Practice?
We're talking about practice.
We are talking about practice.
Not a game. Not for another month. But we're talking about practice.
Yep. 13 glorious games, hopefully. By the way, if you want to text the show.
13.
Hopefully.
I'm
Or 14. Let's go 14.
Baby.
Okay, 15. Let's go 100.
15 and 0, baby.
15 and 0. You can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150, or you can, what else? You can call us on the BCSI hotline. So now, my friend, it is time for our 22 and 22, number 18. But before we say who it is, even though I know you can't wait to say his name,
I can't.
It is brought to you by Factory Builder Stores, celebrating their new location in College Station, which is at 11907 Welborn Road, right next to the Ashley Furniture Outlet. They can service any builder and general public with locations throughout Texas, including right here in College Station. You've got Liberty there, Aggie class of 2019, and Wally. They'll take great care of you and any of your appliance needs. They got 40 different brands and appliances, cabinets, and they're committed to giving you the very best products at the best price and providing you with superior customer service. They have very competitive pricing, and on top of all that, they can work hard to get you the best deals to fit your budget. It is Factory Builder Stores. Their showroom is open here in College Station Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Old Welborn Road in College Station or online at factorybuilderstores.com. OB, number 18 is?
Well, first of all, if I had a factory that built defensive ends, I'd build Tumisi Adelie, 6'4", 295, violent pass rusher. Looked good in the spring game. He
looked really good in the spring game.
He gave Trey Zoon a little bit of trouble, and hopefully that means he's going to give a lot of people trouble. But I love the name, Tumisi Adelie.
Adelie. Hey, he's a guy that I think people forget about, but like in the same kind of conversation we're talking about this recruiting class, like he is 5-star animal with the size and the speed and plays ferocious.
5-star guy, one of many. And, yeah, I think you're right because he redshirted last year. You almost forget that he was there.
Yeah.
But, he's big, he's powerful, he's quick off the ball. He's all on paper, he's everything you're looking for in a defensive end. Now, of course, now he's got to start showing it in a month that he can do it on the field and thereafter. But everything, he's one of those guys, he hadn't done it yet. But all the indicators are that not he only can be good, he can be really, really good.
Yeah, the word is yet, and we fully expect that he's going to do that. The clip that Jimbo has been recruiting at since arriving here, and we forget a 5-star. That just shows you kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's a 5-star too. Oh, yeah. He didn't play because DeMarvin Leal was here. Yeah, an NFL, I think, going to be a stud in the NFL with the Steelers. He is a guy that I think will make an impact, I think, early for this team.
Well, they're hoping so because we talked about earlier about the pass rush and how there are question marks there, and can they continue to have a strong pass rush? Well, a big part of that is going to depend on Tumisi Adelie. I would think he's a guy. I'm not saying he has to go out there and get you 12 sacks, but if he can go out and be a productive pass rusher, maybe half dozen, maybe, or somebody that's just going to be able to apply consistent pressure. That'll mean so much to this team. Now, again, they have a lot of guys that have the potential and shown flashes that they could be that guy. Tumisi Adelie is one of them.
Yeah, and to me, just look at his size. That picture right there kind of sums it up. His size, his strength, combine that with speed. And I think another thing going for him is the fact that everybody else on the line is pretty darn good too. So, who are you going to double?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. And if Tumisi Adelie is as good as we think he is, and if McKinley Jackson's a different guy when he's not hurt, which he will be, and Walter Nolan and all you just said who you're going to double team, but on top of that, even more important, if you can get consistent, we all know if you can get consistent pressure with 4 guys, and sometimes even 3, then you're dropping 7 or 8 in coverage, and then it really makes it difficult. So I think that defensive line is the key, especially the defensive ends to this defense. And if they can get that pass rush, they're just going to be maybe even a better defense than they were last year. And again, Adelie is a big part of that. And I love that name. I wish my name was Rock Adelie.
Rock Adelie?
Yeah.
I think for the remainder of the show, that is going to be your
Rock,
name.
but you got to say Rock.
Rock
Adelie.
Adelie. But you say
That's
Adelie.
cool name.
Yeah, it is a cool name. I might name my next dog Rock Adelie.
I might name, if I can't have a child again, but if I was, I might name my son Rock Adelie. And if it's a daughter, I'd name it Kennedy Adelie.
Because you love that name now.
Now.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
You're all in. So I'm really interested about the pass rush when they take on Mississippi State. Because of how quick that Will Rogers gets rid of the ball and how that was the issue last year. Yes, there were some issues offensively. But, and again, they didn't give up that many points. It was, what was it, 26-22 at the final?
26-22, you gave them 2 of them.
Right. But because of that, I'm really interested in how quickly they can get to the QB, and with the, I think, stronger secondary, how that game could be played differently. I don't care if it's on the road or not.
I think the secondary is going to make a difference. Got to get the pass rush. But, don't go in there afraid of them like you did last year. So, we got to back off 5 yards on every play and rush 3, but back off 5 yards so they can just dink it all the way down the field.
Yeah, the DJ Durkin effect with Adelie and beyond, I think is going to be very interesting because as much as we love Mike Elko, things evolve, right? Personnel changes, and I think Mississippi State is who we think they are. Like they're going to do what they do. I want to see how it looks different.
I wonder how, and I have to admit, I don't know this. How did Ole Miss do defensively against Mississippi State last year?
That's a good question.
I don't know that answer.
Well, we can talk about that on the next side of the break because
decent. I'm pretty sure. I know it was a close game at halftime. I think it was a field goal fest.
Well, okay. If it's a field goal fest, I don't know the name. I'm looking it up, but that's not good radio.
No, it's not good radio. But you know what the good part of it is I can get you the box score, but not now because it's only opening up baseball box score. So when we come back on TexAgs Radio, we'll go over that. Just not that it'll tell us too much, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Plus, what questions do you have about this football team beyond the obvious? I know you got questions about the quarterback. I'm going to ask OB some of his questions. You can tell us your questions on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. Or if you want to call in with those questions, do that on that BCSI hotline, 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Radio.
His playlist might have Oasis, Bad Bunny, and Kanye, but he's thinking about his Aggies all the time. It's David Nuño and TexAgs Radio on The Zone.
Factory Builder Stores is your local hometown appliance store serving builders, remodelers, designers, and savvy homeowners too. Come shop the new Factory Builder Store showroom in College Station featuring brands like Thermador, Bosch, and so many more. With years of experience and superior customer service, their knowledgeable team will help you make the right decisions on appliances for your home. Factory Builder Stores open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Visit their brand new location at Welborn Road at Navarro in College Station.
Optimum Mobile wants those good summertime vibes to last all year with big savings. Get 1 gigabyte of data for just $5 a month for the first 12 months. And because Optimum Mobile is on the network outperforming Verizon with the best 5G availability, you can keep those good summer feelings going. Because you'll stay connected at the beach, at the park, at the barbecue, and on the road. Really, anywhere you go this summer. With Optimum Mobile, you get 5G access included, plus unlimited talk and text at a great value. Maybe that's why Optimum Mobile was voted #1 in customer satisfaction by our customers. Get closer with mobile savings and go farther all year long with mobile service for $5 a month for 12 months. Learn more at Optimum.com/summer5 or visit your local Optimum store today. 1 gigabyte plan, $5 a month for first 12 months. $20 activation fee applies. Then auto renews at standard monthly rates. Offer subject to discontinuance or change at any time while supplies last. 5G not available in all areas. Other terms and conditions apply.
If you own construction equipment and need replacement rubber tracks, now's the time to get $200 off your next set of rubber tracks at WPI. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings, and depth to teeth, buckets, and blades is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan. Hurry in. $200 off rubber tracks in soon. Highway 21 East at Marino Road or click WPI.com.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Schulte Roofing, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, and Rudy's Barbecue. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard. For 28 years, I've been introducing the world to politicians, musicians, athletes, and media types. Guys like Phil Steele of Phil Steele's College Football Magazine.
You probably had me on year one, and I can't thank you enough for that, Chip. Nobody knew who Phil Steele was. We were just trying to get in the marketplace, so I can't thank you enough for having me on that first year, and it's something I'll always remember.
Find out who's next, weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
You familiar with this one?
No.
Jump on Jump Street, whatever.
21
Jump Street. Johnny Depp, yeah.
Didn't know that one.
It's a good show.
Never saw it.
Never?
Never. Never saw
I'm
it.
telling you, my friends that are at least in the 40 range are like, that show was fire back in the day. It was a good show, yeah. Probably if I watched it now, I'd hate it. Then they did the remake with Jonah Hill, and who was it?
Channing
Tatum, yeah. Did you watch that one?
I did take Quinn to see that movie once. The first one, I guess.
And then it was 22 Jump Street after that.
Yeah, I didn't see that one because I was so unimpressed with 21.
It's TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. Funny guy on the YouTube page when you compared me to AC Slater. He said, more like Screech.
No, we got some. That would be Zane. But not really.
I mean,
not really.
I'm not going to argue with you, but yeah. It's funny, though. Like, I'm kidding with him, but I'm totally Googling everything about him, and I'm going to find out who David Franz is in the movie, too.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to flatter you here or anything, but no.
AC Slater's not the cool one on that show.
Screech on you, no.
No, it's definitely not Screech. Hey, all right, so let's talk about questions we have going into camp. And if you have any of those, you can text us on the A&B text line. Kay will get them to us. So I have a few questions. Those are the obvious ones, without a doubt. But beyond that, OB, what are some of the questions you have going into this camp that need to be answered?
Well, the the obvious left guard situation.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a leaning one way or another?
I really don't. I don't. Moko. Akinola Goombi. I don't.
Maybe Cam
Dewberry.
Maybe.
Trainer. I
got some capable guys for sure.
Yeah. So I have no idea, but that's important. You've heard this cliche. It's so true. Offensive line is as good as its weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much truth to that. So
look at the Alabama game, right? Like leading up to that game, the questions that we had, and then poof. There was not a lot of questions after that, during that game, I should say.
Yeah, and I think we found out that in that first part of the season that Blake Trainer is a guard.
Yeah.
He's not a tackle.
He struggled a little bit in the beginning, but he came through.
So he's a guard. So does that mean he's going to be the starter? No, but I would think he'd be a viable option there. He played well against Alabama.
He did
at that position. Let's see what you know what I'm still curious where Antonio Johnson's going to end up.
Like how they use him.
Well, are you gonna keep him as that nickel? Are you going to move him to safety? And is it because he's playing so well at one place, or is it dependent on what other guys like? If Jordan Gilbert or Bryce Anderson looks so good at safety,
you got to have them out there. Yeah.
Do you say, okay, well then we keep Antonio Johnson where he's played at an All-American level? But what if Denver Harris is playing great and Miles Jones is back, and you say, man, do you put Denver Harris in the or Miles in the at the nickel, or Deuce Harmon for that matter,
right?
Or a
lot of options.
So you have so many options, and I just wonder, is the position that Antonio Johnson plays, is it dependent on his performance, or is it dependent on other people's performance at other positions? So that's something I'm always curious about. And I asked Jimbo that, and he said yes, which was no answer, which obviously means it's a polite way of saying I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah, I got some questions as well. One of them is about quarterback, but like, when will we know who the quarterback is? Like, to me, the when is a big question. And you're looking at last year, they named Haynes King the starter around August 25th. That's ballpark roughly when, right?
Probably about 2 weeks out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
when is A-Chain a question? Is he Heisman A-Chain? Right? Like, we think he's going to be that level. Are they using him at that level? And is he performing at that level as the main guy? That's a question. I expect it to be yes. I expect that he will be one of those names that we talk about in that conversation, fourth weekend, fifth weekend, and so on. How quickly does Evan Stewart and Walter Nolan become Evan Stewart and Walter Nolan? Like, the ones that we think they're going to be, how quickly does that happen?
For both of those guys, I'm saying day one. No doubt.
No doubt.
I've already seen.
So, like, Myles Garrett level of production from that early on.
Well, I'm not saying that he has to go out and get 11 and a half sacks this year. Myles Garrett had nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had nobody. Again, the leading sacker before Myles Garrett arrived had 3.
Right.
So I could see, we just talked about Adelie, and we've heard a lot about Fidel Diggs and some other guys, McKinley Jackson. You can get the pass rush from inside and so many other guys. I don't know that you need him to come in and have to produce like Myles did because you have other guys. But I think he's a guy that's going to make an immediate impact. And I never typically want to put too much into what I see in the spring. But
at any position.
But what I saw from Evan Stewart, and you remember he had one pass, and I think he only gained like 2 yards. It was just one of those lateral passes that you get frustrated in so many times. Not you, but why you're throwing it sideways. And he gained like 2 yards, but it should have been a loss, and he made like 3 people miss before somebody got him on the ground. And you see little things like that, and you go, okay, this guy has got something different. So I think he may be very much like a Christian Kirk was, and that he'll come in and make a big splash right away.
Here's a question for you. How about the coordinators, or I should say the new coaches, Adazio and Durkin? How quickly does their philosophy work with this team? Because DJ Durkin worked at Ole Miss great last year. Now he's playing with a whole new collection of type of talent in a new environment. How quickly is that going to work into the kind of defense that we saw Ole Miss become with this kind of talent?
Well, that's a heck of a good question. And I think that's one of the reasons why the schedule's so perfect for A&M, because you're playing teams you should beat, but you're going to have to work at it.
You're going to have to work at it. Yeah.
And so I think that's great. But it's a good question. Well, I have to say this, though. To get what he got out of that defense with that personnel was almost shocking. And you like to think that if a guy can do that can put together a defense with marginal talent, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think Sam Williams was a really good player. And then they had a couple other guys that were nice players, a linebacker that came in from Boston College or someplace like that, and then a safety that came in from Navy. Nice
the linebacker
players.
was from Maryland.
Maryland, okay. Thank you, Dalton. So, nice players. But so you like to think if they can put together a good scheme and a good defense with that kind of personnel, what can you do? It's like one of those cooking shows. You ever see Chopped?
Never in my life.
They have to make a meal, but they're given in 30 minutes, and they're given a small amount of ingredients they have to use.
Okay.
Right? And they come up with a great meal, supposedly. All right. But what if that same chef that makes a great meal in 30 minutes with a limited amount, what if you give him the full kitchen and he can make whatever he wants, and he's got plenty of time to do it? Then it may be one of the best meals you ever had in your life.
Right.
And they're ready to eat. This defense is ready to eat.
They're hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm hangry.
Rock Adelie. Sorry, you got to say it normal. I apologize. I'd like to hear Kay say it. Kay, can you try it?
It's Adelie, right?
Yes.
Rock Adelie.
Actually, that's not bad.
It's not bad. Try it again. One more time.
Rock Adelie.
Okay.
Can you do it without smiling?
Rock Adelie.
But see, she can't go the rock without smiling.
Yeah, try to.
I'm not a serious person. I can't do
one
this.
more time.
Rock. Start laughing.
I guess this is enough.
Probably not.
All right. I kind of enjoyed that part of the segment. All right. Other question. And this is more in season, but that I'm thinking about now. How does A&M do during that, I think, a very very difficult 4-game stretch? Arkansas, Miami at home,
okay.
Arkansas, Mississippi State, Alabama. That is a question of how the season goes. That stretch right there is going to tell us, are we talking about a team that's contending with the playoffs, or are we talking about a team that's still thinking about next year?
I'm thinking they're 3-1, and but I don't think the possibility of 4-0 is outrageous. I've said that before, but I think when you're going to say, if you're going to try to be as objective as possible and remove any allegiances that you have, if you try to, and you say, all right, if I had to bet my paycheck on that game today, would I bet my paycheck on A&M or Alabama to win in Tuscaloosa? And today, I think I would, if I'm, give me truth serum, I'd say Alabama. But I'd go A&M winning the others.
I would also say that I don't want to put my paycheck on any game. And I don't care if it's Appalachian State.
Bigger than mine.
Well, I don't know. I'm not on Appalachian State. I'm not putting my pay. I don't gamble like that. But Miami, I'd feel pretty good betting your paycheck. Arkansas, I think I feel pretty good betting your paycheck. Mississippi State, I think I feel pretty good betting your paycheck. I'd feel really bad if it didn't work out.
What would you bet of your own?
don't even know how to put a number on it. Like, I feel good about those games. That's what I can say. I feel good, but I am a worrier by nature until game day. When game day comes, I get optimistic. Before game day comes, and any team that I love, I find ways that we're going to lose. In my head, that's how it works.
You're a sandbagger.
Is that a sandbagger?
I thought a sandbagger's the guy that...
I think he's still mad about the whole Real Madrid thing. Sorry.
Oh, wait, you knew where I was going.
So he's like Lou Holtz. He's gone from AC Slater to Lou Holtz today.
Hey, guys.
No, I really do. Like, I start thinking, well, this could go wrong. Like Miami, they got all these new guys, and Mario Cristobal, like year one, people are really excited. Yeah, Arkansas, Sam Pittman, people really like that guy. He's like, he did it last year. And then I get to the game, I'm like, but dude, we got the talent. We've got like freaking quarterback who's a stud, a Heisman contending running back, a defense that's going to eat. Like, but it takes me a while to build up for that.
Well, yeah, I try to look at things and just look at. I think that Arkansas game is going to be tough because I think they have a pretty decent offensive line. I was hoping Stromberg would have gone into the NFL draft, and he didn't. It pissed me off. But I keep looking back at that game in A&M last year with, again, subpar quarterback play. But it wasn't just quarterback. A&M got beat on the line of scrimmage in that game.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way around it. They did. But with just a subpar performance, they're down 7 with the ball in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter.
And of course, now they're going to come back and say, "Yeah, but our quarterback got hurt." I said, "Okay, well,
our quarterback got hurt.
Our quarterback, and then there's
and the quarterback got hurt because of our defense.
Yeah, that's true.
So
and then here comes the pass off the center's head.
So and we got to hit a break here, but do you remember that feeling we had during Colorado for most of that game and most of the first half of the Arkansas game of thinking, I don't know if we're ever going to see a first down again?
Yes. I just thought that early that they looked out of sorts doesn't do it, doesn't do justice, that incompetent. And I thought that Zach Calzada at that time looked like the most overhyped, unprepared quarterback I'd ever seen. Because Jimbo had said, "Hey, this guy's going to be in the NFL. Maybe he will be someday." You don't want to ever say somebody in their first year as a starter is a finished product,
right?
But I was thinking, is there going to be another strike and they're going to just start replacement players again? Because I don't see it with this guy.
Yeah, that feeling, especially in the Colorado game. Oh my goodness. Lincoln, I don't know if they're ever going to get a first down. We get to the text messages on the A&B text line when we come back. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Junior League's Stuff the Bus school supply fundraiser is this week at various HEB locations. Visit jlbcs.org for locations, times, and more details. The College Station High School Cougar Band and Guard invites you to their annual March-a-thon fundraiser this Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10:30 at HEB Tower Point. Donate and sponsor at marchathon.com. The Bush Library invites you to a summer film series featuring Invictus, Friday, August 12th by the pond. Games and food start at 7. The movie begins at sunset. Now on display at the Arts Council of Brazos Valley, Refrigerator Art. This exhibit includes art created during this summer's art camps. Refrigerator Art is on display through August 13th. Enter now at zone1150.com to win your Texas Summer Survival Kit thanks to Field to Family. Win tickets to Fiesta Texas, the Bombers, the Cinemark Theater, and gift cards to Superior Auto Service and Field to Family. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting Half-Price Tuition Program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kinder Music, Renner Academy, Sunshine School, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual. Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors. Lance Lester at the Lester Group, Zwerneman Flooring, The Sleep Station, and Twin Peaks. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
DJ K-Dub checking in, previously on the Fine Bomb Show. Hello, Pat. The first time I ever saw you in person, you were in Jacksonville. I showed up with a sign that said Pat from Warner Robins, and it got shown on TV. We had some short conversations while y'all would go to commercial, but that was the first time I saw you in person, and I've been in love with you ever since, Paul.
It's the Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on the Zone.
No clue.
Me neither.
Nick's got to tell me.
For me, you'd have to go a TV school
I
theme
just said
song.
school
Is that
songs.
Boy Meets World?
I wouldn't know. I have to go back.
Got it. He sent it right after.
You have to go
Boys
back
Meet
to.
World.
I'd have to go all the way back to Welcome Back, Kotter for me to.
Oh,
pick
good
out
show.
one.
Hey, there you go. Welcome back, Cotter. Start off the 9 o'clock hour.
Maybe he'll play the Andy Griffith Show for Olin.
You were in high school when Andy Griffith came out, right?
I thought.
Just kidding.
I thought he was in kindergarten. Running home to crank on the TV.
I'm old. I acknowledge it.
I bet you Obi was a big fan of Ben Stiller back in the day. You probably love Ben and Fred Stiller. Not Stiller, Savage, excuse me.
And I never watched that show either. You got to understand, when those shows were popular,
You were
I
a
was
grown
at
man.
a newspaper on time. So I probably wouldn't have watched it anyway, but I was on a newspaper job working 3 to midnight. You didn't get to watch TV.
No, you were working.
Right.
You were. By the way, Ben Stiller, you probably liked him though.
He's all right. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I probably don't go see a movie because Ben Stiller's in it.
What's his dad's name?
Jerry.
Jerry Stiller.
He's funny.
Love Jerry Stiller. Of course, Seinfeld
But
guy.
there are certain movies you go see because a certain actor is appearing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Ben Stiller's that guy.
Who's an actor that you go see because he's in it? No matter what, not no matter what, but typically like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I would have. I see Clint. Of course, now he's more of a director, but yeah, I'll
Yeah.
see a Clint Eastwood movie. They're always good.
Tom Cruise.
No, not really. No.
Okay. Trying to think who else.
Back in the day, I used to like Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
His movies were terrible, but he was cool.
He was a likable guy. Kay Nagley, get us a text message to close out the segment.
All right, let's go David in Houston. Curious to see what players provide us that vertical threat to put us on par with the Bamas and Ohio States. That has been missing for so long, and these offenses have been winning titles recently.
I'll give you two, and I hope this year we see them. Evan Stewart, Chris Marshall. Yep, those two I think are the ones that are going to be able to stretch out the field, and I'm really, really high on Chris Marshall.
I know you are, and I hope you're right.
I think that guy is going to be a freaking stud, and hopefully this year, along with all the other guys stepping up. OB, fun go hour, man. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we're going to continue talking to not only the SEC schools out there, but also all the top 25 schools out there. When we come back, we'll talk to Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times about the Florida Gators, get his thoughts, as it's going to be Billy Napier's time to go with that team. They took Alabama to the brink twice. SEC championship game a couple years ago, and then last year before everything went off the wheels. So we'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to Lawton Swann about Clemson, and then Bronny in the 10 o'clock hour. It's TexAgs Radio.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Your home for Aggie baseball, Aggie basketball, and Aggie football is The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, plus online at RadioAggieland.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. Brazos County Commissioners were ready yesterday to add 2 special questions to the November general election ballot, but County Judge Dwayne Peters said official action had to be delayed to add a $100 million bond issue and a referendum to increase vehicle registration fees by $10.
I believe we need to table it for 2 weeks. There's a window.
Both special questions asked Brazos County voters for more money towards road projects. 4 of 5 commissioners did approve this November's voting schedule and locations. Russ Ford continued his opposition due to the absence of early voting sites at rural locations. A College Station man remains in jail following his arrest on charges associated with a high-speed rear-end crash that shut down Harvey Mitchell Parkway by Easterwood Airport early Monday morning. According to the College Station police arrest report, 30-year-old John Taylor Jenkins ran away from the scene of the 2 a.m. wreck and was found about 2 hours later and 2 miles away crying outside a stranger's apartment. Jenkins was arrested for DWI with 3 prior convictions and causing the collision that totaled his and the victim's car. A Bryan man admits to swallowing a baggie containing crack cocaine. A 12-year prison sentence is part of the plea agreement between 54-year-old Stephen Hawkins and the Brazos County District Attorney's Office. The deal also includes Hawkins admitting but not being prosecuted for possessing the crack or marijuana. Prosecutors say there is no evidence that the baggie or the crack were recovered. The baggie was swallowed during a traffic stop by Bryan police in June of 2019. A jury trial is underway in federal court involving former Bluebell president Paul Kruse. This comes 7 years after a listeria outbreak at the ice cream producer that killed 3 people and sickened 10 others. Prosecutors say Kruse concealed information from consumers about what Bluebell knew about the contamination. The indictment also accuses Kruse of ordering staff to pull Bluebell from the store shelves, but not giving a reason. For more news, go to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Does the insulated glass in your windows refuse to come clean no matter how hard you work? If so, the glass unit has probably lost its seal. You might notice moisture between the panes, a hazy look, shadows, or even the growth of some white mold. If so, it's time to call your friends at Intercon. Not only are these conditions unattractive, but you no longer have an insulated barrier in your windows. There are a number of options available to you to remedy lost seals. Most options allow you to retain your existing window frame and just replace the bad glass with a new sealed unit. Clear insulated glass offers an insulating pocket, but no protection against solar heat gain. Low-E insulated glass adds a coating between the sheets of glass. The coating blocks about 80% of the solar heat gain, as well as the damaging UV rays of the sun. Another option is to trade out the entire window frame with a premium vinyl window. Since Intercon does both glass and windows, we can offer you a full complement of options. Call Intercon and get a free quote from a locally owned and managed business.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help you keep your home energy efficient year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. The Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click cocosupply.com. Texas A&M football players officially reported to fall camp yesterday. Coach Jimbo Fisher is slated to hold a press conference this afternoon before the first practice. For all your coverage this fall, tune in to right here on The Zone. Aggie track and field All-American Kennedy Wade won gold as a member of Team USA's mixed 4x400 relay team at the World Athletics Under-20 Championships in Colombia. Wade, a Seabrook native, anchored the Americans to a championship meet record time and clinched the first international medal of her career. A&M softball has added Minnesota hurler and Big Ten all-freshman team selection Emily Levitt to its roster. The right-hander made 45 appearances for the Golden Gophers last year, going 15-11 with a 4.70 ERA. Levitt's addition comes one day after the Aggies landed Oklahoma State transfer Brianna Evans. Evans, a sophomore utility player, batted .290 with 2 homers and 12 ribbies for the Cowgirls in 2022. And the Brazos Valley Bombers dropped their TCL playoff opener to the Victoria Generals last night, 12-8. They'll try to avoid elimination tonight when they host Victoria again at 7 o'clock. Coverage is right here on The Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Looking for The Zone prize rules? Would you like to apply for a job at The Zone? Or need a phone number or email for The Zone? Visit zone1150.com. Would you like to sign up for The Zone All Access newsletter? Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Or would you like to see The Zone's daily schedule? Visit zone1150.com for more information, any questions, to contact us for everything and anything about The Zone. Visit zone1150.com.
All right, welcome in TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. First day of fall camp, so we're doing back to school songs. I don't know, because I'm cheesy and random. Welcome into the show, though. Appreciate you. We are going to be getting to your text messages there on the A&B text line here momentarily. Also on the BCSI hotline, that number 979-693-1150. But let's talk a little SEC football, the Florida Gators in particular, with Matt Baker, the Tampa Bay Times, here on the BCSI hotline. Matt, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. So let's talk about the short time that Billy Napier's been there. I'm going to tell you what I've read, and I know social media is all over the place, right? But you're up there. I feel like in the beginning, home run, then he's not getting anybody, and then he starts getting everybody, and then he says he's going to be very active in the transfers. So how would you assess his first, 6-7 months on the job?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit it on the head. There was a lot of enthusiasm around him early. I appreciated it because the coaching search was pretty low-key, drama-free. I mean, going into the last game of the year against Florida State, everybody knew Billy Napier was going to be the guy. It was just a matter of when. So I appreciated that. I think fans kind of understood that he's a guy that fixes what they needed. You know, Dan Mullen was not the most attention-to-detail guy. Napier is hyper-focused on the details. Mullen was a great tactician, but not a great recruiter. Billy Napier said literally day one, this is a talent acquisition business. And then you're exactly right what happened next, where I think they were fine going into the early signing period and all that stuff. They did as well as you could. And then or in the spring and kind of into June, they weren't getting the dues that people thought. And there were a lot of Florida fans who were really upset about it. My whole thing was pump the brakes. It's June. It's early July. Let's see. And then in July, they reeled off a whole bunch of commits. Now they're 12th-ish, 13th in the country in terms of recruiting. And there's, you can see reasons for optimism that he can bring in the dudes necessary to compete for championships. Not this year. I don't think anybody's expecting that this fall, but down the line, you're starting to see signs that maybe he can do it.
What went wrong last season, and were there signs that, maybe, in the years prior leading up to it that were pretty darn good, that things were falling off?
Yes, there were signs. I went back, Dan Mullen said after the Cotton Bowl when they got their tails kicked by Oklahoma, that was not the 2020 season that you saw there. That was a springboard for the future. So I went back and watched that disaster of a game. And the issues that they had against OU when a lot of the 2020 team had opted out were the ones that surfaced throughout the year. Specifically, there weren't a lot of guys making plays on offense. Once they lost Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney and Trayvon Grimes, they weren't the same. They didn't have anybody who could come close to replace them. On defense, they looked out of sorts, and they didn't have the playmakers necessary either. They kept getting beat by the same counterplay over and over and over again. And then I guess the big thing was just an attention to detail that was lacking. Mullen lost 10 times over the last years, just on Mullen. And 6 of them were very, very close. You look at the game in 2020 against A&M, where it's the late fumble leads to the game-winning field goal. The throw and shoe against LSU. 8 false starts against Kentucky. And offsides on 4th and inches at Missouri that leads to a field goal in a game that goes to overtime. A guy on a 2-point conversion against Bama runs the wrong way and another one lines up wrong. All those little tiny things add up to 6 of the 10 losses. You change 2 of them, Mullen's probably still the coach.
I kind of want to go back to that because 2 of those could have been Bama, right? The SEC championship game, I'm trying to remember how close that was. And then last year, right down to the wire.
Exactly. The SEC title game was 52-46. And you go back and look at that. There were, I think, 4 of the 5 early third downs that Florida allowed were on stupid penalties, like an offsides, a defensive holding. They had an interception or a fumble that they fumbled right back, and Devontae Smith either forced or recovered. So those were the tiny little things that added up, to mostly lack of discipline, that led to that loss. And then against Alabama, they were in it. They played Bama really, really tough in the swamp in September. And it, to some degree, it all kind of came down to a missed extra point that made them go for 2 at the end. And where they go for 2, have a guy line up wrong, have another guy run the wrong way. That's the difference in the 31-29 loss.
Matt Baker with us here on TexAgs Radio. Matt, is Tampa a Florida town? It's in the middle of the state, so I don't know, Central Florida, potentially Miami, like Florida State. How do most people there in Central Florida is it just everywhere?
Yeah, Tampa is an interesting town, as I've tried to figure out. I've been in this role since 2015. The plurality, most of them are Gator fans, but I'd say it's about 60-40 if you break down between Florida and Florida State. Gators are clear 1. Florida State and USF, which is here in Tampa, they're 2 and 3. And then there's, Miami and UCF down there. And then, but, Florida is a transplant state. I'm Indiana. My wife's from Texas. So there's a bunch of people like us here. They're Ohio State fans, Texas fans, Michigan fans, Iowa fans. So there's a whole bunch of all over in there too.
Hey, let's talk about the transfers that Billy was able to add this year. He said he was going to be aggressive. He has been aggressive. Where did he add the most?
So I look at a couple of guys he brought with him from Louisiana Lafayette. Osiris Torrance was an all-conference offensive lineman for the Raging Cajuns. He's a guy that's showing up on potential all-SEC, maybe even all-American. So he's a guy that they needed some more leadership. They needed some more experience. They needed more bulk there. And he's a guy that's going to contribute, start absolutely immediately, maybe be one of the better players on the team. Now look at Montreal Johnson, who's a running back at ULL. I don't know how closely you all followed the Raging Cajuns and what Napier did there over the last couple of years, but what impressed me from afar is that they were doing it slightly different ways. Yes, they had the same quarterback, Levi Lewis, who was very, very good at that level, but they were winning with different running backs who were being very good. They had a guy Campbell who was a 7th round pick for the Bucks, and they lose him. Then they have Elijah Mitchell, who a lot of people like me had him on their fantasy team last year, doing really well with the 49ers. Lose him. Montreal Johnson's an all-conference player there that now followed him to Gainesville. So that tells me that Billy and his staff know how to evaluate running backs and how to develop them as well. And I think Montreal's in for a big year this year for the Gators.
Yeah, I want to talk about Anthony Richardson because he's, I don't want to say polarizing, but he's an interesting case study because so much talent. The back and forth last year probably didn't do him favors. What has he worked on, and why are they so excited about what he can do this year?
Well, I think anybody who watched them play last year knows how good he can be. The first couple of games, they kicked the crap out of Florida Atlantic and USF. Everybody's watching those thinking, why are the Gators starting Emory instead of Anthony Richardson? I mean, look, Lamar Jackson is one of the best players I've seen with my own eyes, maybe the best. Anthony had a play against FAU where he hurled a guy and kept running. It wasn't Lamar Jackson, but it was Lamar Jackson-esque. And I don't say that lightly. So the potential is there, but he has 1 start. I think it's 7 career touchdown passes, 6 career interceptions. So you've seen what he can do, but he hasn't done it at a high enough level for long enough yet. So that's just kind of where things are with him. I think he needed to improve his leadership, and he will tell you that and has said that. Because it's one thing to go in being a change of pace guy and knowing you're the change of pace guy. It's another thing going in where you're showing up on first round mock drafts and everybody knows you're the dude. So that's kind of, to me, the biggest thing. And then on the field, it's a matter of consistency, making the right plays, making the right reads. Dan Mullen never really said why he wasn't the starter last year, but if you read between the lines, basically he didn't trust him enough to know what to do on every single play, and kind of understanding that and learning how to be a college quarterback at the highest level. Those are the kind of the little things that I think he needs to do to live up to that sky high potential.
This is a brand new team, not just coaching staff, but players too. I'm looking at this note that I found. Just 13 of the 2021's 53 touchdowns are coming this year. 3 of those by Richardson.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's a whole lot of unknowns here. And to some degree, that's good, right? Because the Gators were not a good team last year. They just weren't. You can talk about how close they were in all those games, but they didn't get it done. So there are going to be some new faces in there expected to contribute. Lorenzo Lingard, who's a 5-star transfer from Miami. He's played sparingly, but he has the potential to be an absolute breakout player. I want to see whether any of the receivers are able to kind of finally break through, a guy like Justin Shorter, Xavier Henderson, and if there's going to be just some playmakers on this team. Because when I looked at them last year, I was astounded by the fact that there weren't a lot of offensive dudes at the University of Florida. They weren't offensive playmakers that the Gators should have. And, I'm curious to see whether any of them can develop this year or whether that's kind of a long-term issue that Billy's going to have to address over the coming years.
The defense has been a little bit of an issue the last couple of years. Last year, they got a little bit better.
They're being very kind.
Right. So what changes might we see this year?
Well, starting with a new staff, right? Like that's the biggest thing. Todd Grantham was very aggressive, 3rd and grants and blitzes and what have you. But look, they looked out of sorts last year. And last year they were better than the historically bad performance they were in 2020. So I want to see whether everybody can kind of, this is just simple, but line up in the right spots and do what they're supposed to do, because I don't think there was a lot of that last year. There was definitely not a lot of cohesion last year. There were players would say publicly, we just kind of do what we're told, which didn't inspire a lot of confidence in what this coaching staff was telling them. Then I want to see if there's some guys who are going to be able to really kind of break through. Like Ventrell Miller was banged up last year and missed almost all the season. When he has played at Florida, he's been very good. So I want to see what he can do. And Javon Dexter's a guy that if there's going to be an absolute stud on defense, it's probably going to be him or Brenton Cox on the edges. I want to see if either one of them can kind of break through and be the, just the defensive monster that Florida's had in the past, but hasn't had the last couple of years.
So, Matt, I'm looking, I've been doing these interviews the last 2 weeks or so, kind of going through each SEC school, and I feel like the questions start sounding the same because schedule, like all these schools, like, it doesn't matter who you're talking about. They have a hard schedule, A, because they're in the SEC, and then they schedule somebody hard. I'm looking at Florida start. That is a brutal way to start your season with not only Utah, but Kentucky, who was, a top-notch team last year, 10-win team last year. I mean, that is a tough stretch for Billy Napier to start.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an AP top 25 voter. Utah's in my top 5 to start the season. I can argue anywhere from 4 to 12, something like that. But yeah, I think they're a top 5 team. The way they closed last year, they had Cam Rising figured him out at quarterback. So Utah's going to be really, really good. Kentucky is always strong. And look, Florida won, was 31 in a row against Kentucky. The Wildcats have won 2 of the last 4, and it probably should have been more than that. Then you look in week 4 at Tennessee. I'm not sold on the Vols yet, but I can see I can understand why people are really buying into Tennessee. So there's a legitimate chance that Florida starts 1-3. When I look at that team and just the schedule, look at Florida State at the end of the year. They're making some significant strides under Mike Norvell compared to where, they're not going to be where Jimbo had them in 2012 to 2016, but I think they're making progress. So I've said 7-5 seems about right for the Gators. I'll stick with that for now. Ask me again in a couple weeks, but it's a tough schedule and it doesn't, no favors early on for sure.
So since you are an AP voter, we've had discussions where we think A&M should be. Just your thoughts on what you've seen from Texas A&M this offseason and the kind of talent that they have, where they should be in the pecking order. Yeah, so I think, look, 1, 2, and 3 is pretty easy to me. Bama and Ohio State, 1, 2, 2, 1. Georgia, to me, is a clear 3, even though I think they're going to regress a little bit from last year. And then pretty much the rest of it, I don't know. Normally when I do my preseason ballot, there's some clear tiers where, okay, these guys lose a quarterback, but they return the rest. And it just kind of makes sense where you can see separations. 4 through 7 are all about the same, 8 through 15, whatever it is. This year, I did not see that. So
Texas A&M is in that next very big mix. I can say now, I think I've got him at 5. I could understand putting him a little higher just because the upside is there. Curious about the quarterback position and whether Max Johnson's the guy or somebody else is. Believe me, I know how good Max is. I saw him beat the Gators in Gainesville in 2020, but I just have questions about overall whether it all fits together now or maybe they're a year away. And let's face it, Jimbo has recruited at a really high level, but he hasn't had it click yet. Maybe you can say the 2020 year, but it hasn't all clicked for him at A&M yet. So until that happens, I'm holding a little bit back on that, which is why I'm keeping them below Utah. But still, A&M should be very, very good in that large next tier behind Bama, Ohio State, Georgia.
I'm assuming you listen to a little sports radio or you keep your eyes on Twitter. So with the talk of SEC expansion, and then you've heard of the other Florida schools potentially coming to the SEC, we here at Texas A&M remember what it felt like a year ago when Texas was put into the conference thinking, hey, we don't need other Texas schools in here. Now we're excited about it because of the rivalry. How are Florida fans thinking about the additions of potentially at some point other Florida schools there in the SEC?
I think that's a way down the line problem for Florida schools. I think for Florida fans, I think the Gators are really concerned right now about getting their program competitive because it hasn't been. I mean, look, they had some really good years under Mullen. They had a couple of East titles under McElwain. They had a Sugar Bowl under Muschamp. But they've got to figure out themselves, what are we not doing here to be competitive? Because I don't think, look, Florida's problem is not Florida State and Miami. Florida's problem is Florida, period. One bad coaching hire, that happens. Everybody makes it. 2 bad coaching hires, okay, that happens. They have had 3 in a row that didn't work out, that had flashes of success but could not sustain it. That tells me it's not just they missed on a coach or 2 or 3. There's some serious issues at Florida that maybe they're being addressed, but have to be addressed. And it's not Florida State and Miami's issue because the Noles and Canes haven't been very good either. It's been a statewide problem with the big 3. Now, I think Florida State and Miami would be good additions for the SEC. I think they could use it more, but the other factor there is just the grant of rights in the ACC, right? Where I don't think any of them expect to be able to get out of that until right now it runs till 2036. I don't know it's going to be that long, but there's some major logistical legal hurdles that are going to have to be worked through.
I got a random question for you just because it popped in my head. Urban Meyer, how is he looked upon there and with the Florida fans, considering his fall from grace here the last few years?
I think it's better than it was because when he left, things were not good. And certainly when he was left and then resurfaced at Ohio State, was winning at a high level there, Florida fans were very upset. But now there's been chatter at least about him going into the Ring of Honor. A couple of years, was it a year or 2 ago, they recognized him and Spurrier before a game or at halftime, whatever it was. And Spurrier was there too. So obviously the fans were responding to, the greatest coach in Florida history in terms of how beloved he is. But they had him on the field as kind of I think there was a test balloon to see where the temperature is. Obviously things did not work out in Jacksonville. That was a disaster. But I think Florida fans are starting to soften at least on Urban Meyer. I don't think he's beloved, nothing to that effect. But I don't think the animosity is and resentment. That's probably the better word. Resentment. That's not quite the same as it used to be.
Matt, last thing for you. So last season, obviously not a good season. You mentioned maybe 7-5. What would be considered a successful year?
Yeah, I think if they go 7-5, I think they take that. Again, because you look at the schedule, Georgia's really good. Texas A&M, top 10. Utah, top 10. All right. So if you pencil those as 3 losses, then you start looking at some of the other ones that are tougher. Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida State. Who knows what the heck to make of LSU? You look at the way South Carolina's improved. It is a tough schedule. So I think realistically, if they go 7-5, I think that's a successful season. I think 6-6, unfortunately for Florida, you'd have to take that. Below that, not some issues. If they go 8-4, something like that, then I think fans should be jumping up and down. I don't think they will because the expectations are much higher than that at Florida. But I think the reasonable fans understand the roster is not in contention to win championships now. It's going to take some time. And, we've talked so much about Billy and his attention to detail and the army he built with infrastructure and recruiting. I want to see whether the dude could coach.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really looking forward to here in the next couple of weeks. That we actually get to see, him as a ball coach and what he can do with this team that's, again, by SEC standards, isn't spectacular.
That is Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times. Matt, we appreciate your time, my friend. Let's do it again.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. Good stuff there, Matt Baker. You can check out his work on Twitter and, of course, Tampa Bay Times on their website. I was recommended by a friend of ours who does the Chuck Oliver show, Dan Matthews, who's like, you got to get him. He's the best guy when it comes to Florida stuff. So appreciate that. When we come back, we'll get to your text messages. Plus, I got some thoughts on an article I read on ESPN that made me think a little bit. Something we've discussed on this show. They're writing about. We'll talk about that here in a few.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Boys and Girls Club is hosting a back-to-school supply giveaway this Saturday. Come out from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. for free food, free backpacks, and more. The REACH Project is hosting a free pop-up health fair at the Brazos Valley African American Museum on Sunday from 2 to 6 p.m. The Keep Brazos Beautiful Annual Awards Luncheon is Thursday, August 11th at the Hilton in College Station. To purchase tickets or for sponsorship info, email Allison at keepbrazosbeautiful.org. Kids ages 5 to 14 are invited to Back to Cool, a free open hockey skate event at Spirit Ice Arena on Friday, August 12th. Participants must have full hockey equipment to participate. Register at brazosvalleyhockey.org/campsclinics. Sign up now for the Zone All Access email newsletter. Find out the guest lineups, the giveaways, and take advantage of exclusive contesting and deals. Sign up now at zone1150.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-917-1965. That's 1-800-917-1965. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-917-1965. That's 1-800-917-1965.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Seth Greenberg is with us, Jay.
What up, baby? Hey, Will, that's a big-time shirt right there.
You know the producer put him up to that.
Yeah, I love it.
What would happen if we took a lumberjack shirt and put a garbage bag, cut it in half, and put it in front of
It would be called fashion.
It would be called fashion, apparently.
Spend your mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Mornings from 5 to 8 here on The Zone.
All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. By the way, speaking of David Gardner's Jewelers, I want to make sure. By the way, what song is that? Before I go into my spot, Nick, can you tell me what song is that from? That '70s show? I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm trying to. He's typing it up. It's taking him a while. And Scene. Wow, that's a long title. Watch it be like 3 words. No, show. Rock and Roll High School by the Ramones. Oh, okay. Good ones. Not a show. I appreciate that one. All right, as I was mentioning, it is the 2-week engagement ring promotion there from David Gardner's Jewelers. They love being a part of this Aggie community, and they love game days. They love couples getting together. They want to help you guys out. Julie and David Gardner love a reason to celebrate, so they're giving out an Aggie football game day experience with engagement rings purchased between July 21st and August 6th. So just a couple more days, guys, to jump on that. You'll be entered to win. Swing by today or learn more by using the appointment link there on davidgardnersjewelers.com. All right, let's go to the news and social center. I also want to get into a rando. As you know, I like to do the randos. Let's go to Kay Nagley.
Hello. Benton and Buddha is saying, or Benton from Austin says, my biggest question for this team is who steps up and gives us quality depth at linebacker. We need two of Lee, Russell, or the two Harrises to step up and be ready to drop of the hat.
Yeah, I'm excited about those Harrises. That's another name that, and I keep talking about Chris Marshall, but I'm excited about what Martrell and Ish are going to bring to the table. It's going to be fun to see them. But yes, linebacker is a question. It is a definite question. But I do think Edge Cooper, as good as he was last year, is going to take a major step, all SEC type of step this season. I'm looking forward to see what he does there. Okay, what else?
Texacito says, I'm thrilled for Anthony Hill 2023, but 2022 is a little thin with the linebacker core. With the surplus of defensive ends, any chance Dirk can move some of the smaller defensive ends to the linebacker role?
Sure, I could see that. Absolutely, I could. But let's make no mistake about it. They feel good with what they have there with Andre White and Edge Cooper and however else it shakes out. But I will say this, the Anthony Hill pickup, such a priority for this team, and one that, again, we'll have Bronny here in about 30 minutes or so. I think he tweeted out, like, the best linebacker he has seen at the high school level, like, bar none. And there was so much talk of last year, Harold Perkins. Would have been great to have Harold Perkins here. This is the guy they really wanted. This is one that they needed, and they got him. They just got to finish the deal, and I feel good about that. So I read an article on ESPN talking about ways to fix college football, and one of the ideas I kind of got down with. And I had mentioned it on this show I don't know if I read it somewhere or I thought of it. I don't think I'm that smart. But about having bowl games to start the year. So think about this. The first week of the season, they're bowl games. Now, technically, a lot of these games are already happening, right? Like, there's a lot of teams opening up with a tough matchup. But imagine that's all around the country, and you did it on Labor Day weekend, where potentially students could travel, families could travel to go see these games. And you do it in a bowl type of setting. Imagine how that would look. There's too many student athletes right now that are opting out of bowl games. And I get it. But they're not opting out of the first game of the season, right? So can you imagine, like, you qualify for your bowl game? Yes, it may sound weird. I'm putting in my scenario, not necessarily how ESPN wrote it out. But you qualify for your bowl game at the end of the year. So you win 10 games, you get a certain kind of bowl matchup. It starts the season then. The regular season is going to matter, by the way. It starts the regular season with a bowl game. So Ohio State is taking on whomever, right? So you have your end of the season playoffs, but you have your bowl games to start the year. And it is, you just like you have it now. You got your automatic there to the Rose Bowl, you got your automatic to the Cotton Bowl, and you start your season with the Cotton Bowl on Labor Day weekend. And all around the country, you've got these bowl games, and maybe it's all week long that they're playing games. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And maybe it's not every team in college football, but the teams that qualify for this bowl game. I think that would be awesome, a great way to get rid of. I know there's going to be some questions like, hey, you can't start the season like that. Too many hard games. But it would put some precedence back into the regular season. And I think that would be fun. It'd be fun to, we already get some good games. And I know that first game of the season already is going to do well because everybody is so thirsty for college football. Like, you could be taking on App State, you can be taking on Sam Houston, you can be taking on anybody. You're going to watch those games. But imagine if that bowl game is how you start your season, how important that first game of the year is to the big picture. Let me know your thoughts on that. Just ESPN has some other ideas, but that's the one that I was like, I kind of like that idea. I don't want any more opt-outs. You can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150, or call us up on the BCSI hotline. But when we come back, we're talking a little Clemson football. Lawton Swann will join us there from Clemson Sports Talk. We'll get into some thoughts about DJ Ugolulele. God, I always say that name so poorly. Lawton will help me out. It's TexAgs Radio.
Once had Olin do push-ups on air for good radio. Go figure.
Are you ready?
Let's begin. TexAgs Radio with David Nuño. Weekdays on the Zone.
Question. Would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah. Then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Since 1957, Slovačić Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovačić is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovačić. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovačić Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Optimum is here with award-winning internet, mobile, and TV to help you get closer and go farther with speed and reliability. So you can go from going live to going viral. Or go from riding pickups to riding bows. Or go from gamer to champion gamer. Or even from wannabe chef to professional chef. Go faster with Optimum's award-winning internet, combined with Optimum Mobile, voted #1 in customer satisfaction. Get the complete connectivity you deserve with 24/7 customer service, so your future is only a connection away. Sign up at Optimum.com or call 866-9-OPTIMUM today. Get closer, go farther.
Looking for more ways to save money? Aren't we all? Jenny here. Shop your local Big Deals online store. You'll find gift certificates to all kinds of local businesses, places where you already shop, restaurants you already love, and great local entertainment. The best part? All of these gift certificates are on sale at discounted prices. Get them for yourself or buy them as a gift. Shop and save. You'll be glad you did.
AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, or Chip Howard? Look inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Don't miss a single rant, guest, or moment. You can download or subscribe to any and all of your favorite shows inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. There's also a special selection where you can find select interviews from David, Louie, and Chip. Look up Zone interviews inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Download or subscribe, but don't miss out. Check out the Pod Center at Zone1150.com.
All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio. Back to work. Back to school. Camp starts later on today. We will be there for that. Press conferences around 1:30. Then they'll hit the field at 4:45. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk about Clemson. I like Dabo a lot. I do. And I'm going to say the name. DJ Ugalele. DJ Ugalele. I'm saying it correctly. I practice it all break long. We go to the BCSI hotline. Lawton Swann from Clemson Sports Talk. Am I right? DJ Ugalele.
A little off, but Uwe Ungalele.
Uwe Ungalele.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody says it correctly.
That's how he says it.
Yeah, but I don't think TV people say it correctly then, right?
No.
Okay.
No, they don't. And I just tend to put a lot of ooh-wee on it. You know, if you put a little ooh-wee on it, you're good to go.
I'm going to have to write this down or like capture it on my phone. Uwe Galelele. Okay, I quit. Never mind.
Ungalele.
Ungalele.
You got it.
All right. Let's talk about which Clemson team are we going to get this year? We're going to get the team that is contending for a national championship or the team that like, man, if they only had an offense.
You know, David, it's interesting because I was looking back at some of those games early in the season, and even like the Georgia Tech game, which came down to the final couple of plays. You know, I think Clemson, maybe to some degree, Dabo Swinney, some of the coaching staff maybe got a little overconfident. I mean, they had an opportunity to kick a field goal that would have put them up 10 earlier in that ball game, you know, inside like the 19-yard line and chose not to. So I think that was a little bit of a kind of a pump the brakes moment for them because they've just been so confident with the way they played versus their contemporaries. And then that game comes down right to the wire. So I think there were some wake-up calls early in the year. Obviously, the offense wasn't great. They were marred with injuries throughout the season. And that was the thing Dabo Swinney said. We've actually got the story up right now when I sat down with him at the ACC kickoff, is that DJ never pointed fingers. You know, he just kept going to work. And I think there's a lot of confidence that when you surround him with a healthier lineup, that the offense will be much improved.
So if you hear Dabo speak about him, he's excited about what we're going to see. What has he worked on? I think I read that he's put on some size too.
Dropped 35 pounds.
Oh, dropped 35 pounds.
He slimmed up. Yeah, he was probably a little overweight, and he didn't move too well in the pocket a season ago. And I think that's probably another thing that's going to add to some confidence for him, because if you're a little more fleet of foot there in the pocket, when things start to break down, then you can be a little more confident in yourself, being able to either scramble or just give yourself that extra half second or second that, allows a wide receiver to come open. If you don't have that in the back of your mind, I can understand where there might, panic might set in pretty quickly because you're not able to move around as well as you would like.
That's a lot of weight. 35 pounds since the bowl season. Like that's a lot of weight, isn't it?
Yeah, he slimmed up a good bit. And, he still kind of carries, yes, maybe 30 to 35, but he still carries a lot of weight in his legs. But, he doesn't look scrawny by any means. I mean, he was always a big kid. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. Clemson's got what they call their big weigh-in coming up. So to see if those numbers that we've kind of heard turn out to come to fruition will be interesting over the next couple of days before Clemson gets out there on Friday. Considering
how excited they are about Cade Klubnik afterward, how quick of a hook does he have? I mean, is it his job this year, or is it you get to week 4 and you're still struggling? Now we have to consider making a change.
Yeah, so game 5 is NC State, and a lot of people think NC State is the threat to Clemson maybe in the Atlantic Division. So I kind of look at it when you go back to when Trevor Lawrence came in, right? And Kelly Bryant had actually led Clemson to the college football playoff as the number 1 seed in 2017. They got beat by Alabama, of course, handily, 24-6. That game kind of got away from Clemson in the third quarter with a couple of interceptions. But all that being said, that following season, David, it was a 4-game window for Trevor to come in, and he won it. And then Kelly Bryant, of course, we know goes on to Missouri. So I think that window is probably a little less than 4 games this season for DJ. The problem is the schedule doesn't exactly line up to where you're going, oh, we know a whole lot. They open with Georgia Tech in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but then you got Furman and Louisiana Tech, and that just, those aren't 2 names that are going to jump off the table, so to speak.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule. Very manageable schedule this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big advantage for Clemson is that the home slate are what I think are the more difficult games outside of that matchup, on the road in South Bend. So you kind of have a little bit of an advantage with the fact that you get to play your toughest, quote unquote, ACC opponents at home, I think, this year. There's still some things to be said about what Florida State will be. I like Jeff Hafley at Boston College, but I don't know that they have the horses, but they'll be defensively. They'll be ready for Clemson because he's just a defensive mind and really tries to limit the way teams are able to move the ball down the field. But, yeah, I think the schedule sets up well for Clemson. But that problem is game 5, NC State. Fortunately, maybe you would say Clemson lost a season ago in double overtime. So they'll be locked in on the Wolfpack for sure.
I was going to say NC State, Miami, Notre Dame. Those are the 3 big ones, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. And the thing about that Notre Dame game is in this college football playoff era, that's not going to affect Clemson in the opportunity to get to the ACC championship game. And I think they still feel really good given their track record that if they put together a season that qualifies them for the ACC championship and their lone loss is to Notre Dame, I think Clemson's resume, over the years probably will be enough for them to get in, even though sometimes the Atlantic Coast Conference maybe hasn't produced the greatest competition. But we've seen Clemson on the biggest stage, wallop an Ohio State 31-0, beat down in Alabama 44-16. So I think those things, while they are seasons ago, don't necessarily leave the mind's eye of the committee.
Lawton, I do want to ask you about problems beyond the quarterback position offensively. What other issues were present that made life for DJ even more difficult?
Yeah, last season, injuries at wide receiver. I mean, they went into that final game in the Cheez-It Bowl against Iowa State with a walk-on starting at wideout. So, it's just one of those things where you had some oblique injuries, you had some guys get banged up through the year, and, ultimately it just kind of became a shell of what you've been accustomed to seeing at Clemson. Now, that's not to say that Joe Ngata or E.J. Williams or any of those guys has ever really played on the level that you saw from a Justin Ross early on in his career, or Mike Williams, or whoever really from Clemson's long list of wide receivers you want to go to, right? But the thing about it is a lot of those guys were hurt. Justin Ross never really looked like himself after he had his congenital neck issue repaired. And so that's one of those things where I think DJ takes a lot of the heat, as any quarterback would, and he didn't really have anybody behind him. You know, you mentioned Cade Klubnik coming in there. I like the old phrase, iron sharpens iron, and there wasn't really a threat to DJ a season ago. There's a little threat in the locker room right now for him, and I think that'll push him. Plus, they got Hunter Johnson, who had transferred from Clemson, ironically, to Northwestern, and now back to Clemson. He's a former 5-star, but he's a sixth-year kid, and I think just having him in that quarterback room will help DJ. But the wideouts specifically were really a part of the problem for him a season ago.
Davis Allen, this is the name that I think people really need to start writing down. Am I right about that one?
I tell you, he fits the bill. He looks the part. And when Clemson utilizes the tight end, which they really haven't done since 2016, I mean, you go look at every single season once Jordan Leggett went to the NFL after Clemson beat Alabama for their first national title during Dabo Swinney's tenure, the tight end spot sort of vanished. There have been some guys you thought could do the job, maybe a Braden Galloway, didn't develop. I think Davis Allen's a name to watch. I like Jake Brenningstool. They've done a good job in that tight end room. And, of course, Tony Elliott was coaching tight ends a season ago. He's now gone on to be the head coach at Virginia. So Kyle Richardson has taken over that role, and he's the passing game coordinator. So maybe that group will be more involved this year than it has been. I don't think it's been an issue where the quarterbacks aren't finding the tight ends. I think it's been more, David, to be honest with you, I think it's been more about the fact that the tight ends haven't been made available. And I hope that'll change a little bit because that outlet's very key for quarterbacks.
I know the defense is going to be really good this year. I know that, especially that front seven. We'll talk about them in a moment. But is there any fear long-term, no Brent Venables, what that means to that defense?
I think a little bit, and I don't think it's coming from the inside of the program. Wes Goodwin's a name that hardly anybody knew. I mean, this was a guy that was an assistant or just like a grad assistant at Mississippi State for the baseball team before he arrived at Clemson. But Woody McCorvey, who is Dabo Swinney's mentor, brought him in. Everything that everybody has to say about Wes Goodwin is jam up, and they kind of feel like he falls right in line with Brent Venables. It's just strange to be at a program that's at the level that Clemson currently sits, and yet you've got a guy that outside of the walls of Clemson's football department, a lot of people had never heard of. And so that it's intriguing, right? I said when it first happened, I think this is one of the most intriguing stories I've ever followed in Clemson history. So I think this season, we've only had the one game, the Cheez-It Bowl, to watch them. They did pretty well. But after the game, it was kind of funny. He said something to the effect of, well, they said, well, how'd you think your first game went? And Wes Goodwin said, well, they scored. So that's not what I wanted. So he wants to pitch those shutouts. So at least you kind of like his aggressiveness and the mindset that he's got going into it.
So A&M super excited about their defensive line here because of what's coming in, what's already here. But Dabo said Clemson's got 7 guys on that D-line that he thinks will get drafted.
I think he's not far off. That's for sure. If you talk about KJ Henry, if you talk about Miles Murphy, Brian Brzee, Tyler Davis on the interior, and then I think the one that might shock a lot of people, Xavier Thomas, who kind of came on as a fast guy off the edge, put on a little weight, lost some of his speed. Then the COVID season hits. He actually got COVID, had some respiratory issues, couldn't quite get his wind about him, couldn't quite get himself back. And we've seen some people that have dealt with that. And some of the people that have been athletes. This year, he slimmed down. I think he's weighing less than he's ever weighed. And that, to me, is kind of scary. I think, or actually not weighed less, his body fat percentage. He put out a tweet the other day that his body fat percentage was lower than it had ever been during his time at Clemson. So I think there's some excitement about what Clemson can do. And the other thing on that defensive front, and this is something that you don't always see, and it's a great thing to have in your program, is that they are a collective group who's got a singular focus. And it's not, I've got to get my snaps. These guys are rotating in throughout the game. And by the third and fourth quarter, whether it's in the heat of the summer, whether it's in a key ball game late, they're pretty fresh on that defensive front because all of this group are getting on the field.
Lon, I think fans, and I'm taking a detour here on our conversation, but fans sometimes will, whatever their athlete does, they'll find ways to justify it, right? And I'm talking about Deshaun Watson here, who was the quarterback of the Texans when I was covering the Texans, and he's been in the news for obvious reasons. How do Clemson fans and the program look at him now with some of this stuff that has surfaced here in his professional days?
So it's a strange dynamic because I think they try to separate. A lot of people try to separate what happened collegiately versus the accusations that have taken place in the NFL, and it's not comfortable. I don't like talking about it on the radio because there are kids in cars, and it's just not what you want to talk about. And so I think there is that approach to it. I kind of talked about the 6-game suspension the other day, and I know a lot of people were screaming about how light it was, and it probably was lighter than people expected. But then I also wondered, did the judge take into account the fact that he had not played a season ago? Like, do all those things factor in to the decision? I know this. The guy that I watched throw the touchdown pass to Hunter Renfrow to beat Alabama in the final seconds back in the 2016 championship, to me is completely separate from the accusations that have come out. And it's hard to digest, and all fan bases have had to go through things like this. But I think still, for the Deshaun Watson people out there, the supporters, the people in Cleveland that are, getting autographs from him and stuff, there's a lot of humanitarian work that he's done in the past too. And was he absolutely dumb and made some terrible decisions? Probably so. I still like to live in the world where we're innocent until proven guilty. And, with the way things all played out with, I guess, all those charges kind of being taken care of, so to speak. I hate it for Deshaun that this is the legacy that he's going to have to deal with. But when you put yourself in those types of situations, unfortunately, no matter where your star has reached, these things are unavoidable and are going to follow you for the rest of your career.
I will add, though, that he sat out the 2021 season because he wanted to be traded. So not necessarily just because of the accusations he was upset. So, but there is that part of it. Hey, let's go ahead.
True, but my point being, did that factor in that he did not play a season ago? Like, had he played, my question would be, would the suspension have been longer this year? Maybe so.
That's fair. Hey, let's end up with this. If Clemson gets enough offense, and I don't know what that number is, are they a legit national championship contender?
Oh yeah, they've done well enough on the recruiting trail over the past 4 or 5 seasons. I mean, obviously, what you guys have done out there in Aggie land this past year, you know what it can mean when you get top flight classes coming in there. And so Clemson's got that. They got the horses. Defense wins championships. That Clemson defensive front is going to be monstrous. And I just think that, if they get good to I don't want to say good to great, but maybe that is the term, good to great quarterback play, they'll compete to be in the college football playoff. I don't think that's something that's off the table just because they had a 10-3 season a year ago. And that's the other thing, right? A 10-3 year, and people are like, oh, this program fell apart.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Lawton, we appreciate it. Lawton Swann, Clemson Sports Talk on the BCSI hotline. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
David, always good to be with you guys.
Thanks, man. That's good stuff there from Lawton Swann. When we come back here in open segment, we'll get into that. Nobody likes the Labor Day bowl game talk. Nobody likes it. No, I don't think there's been one good text about it. That's all right. We'll read some of those when we come back. It's TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Junior League's Stuff the Bus school supply fundraiser is this week at various HEB locations. Visit jlbcs.org for locations, times, and more details. The College Station High School Cougar Band and Guard invites you to their annual March-a-thon fundraiser this Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10:30 at HEB Tower Point. Donate and sponsor at marchathon.com. The Bush Library invites you to a summer film series featuring Invictus, Friday, August 12th by the pond. Games and food start at 7. The movie begins at sunset. Now on display at the Arts Council of Brazos Valley, Refrigerator Art. This exhibit includes art created during this summer's art camps. Refrigerator Art is on display through August 13th. Enter now at zone1150.com to win your Texas Summer Survival Kit thanks to Field to Family. Win tickets to Fiesta Texas, the Bombers, the Cinemark Theater, and gift cards to Superior Auto Service and Field to Family. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know? A driveway basketball hoop, including the base, weighs around 400 pounds. Something you probably do know? There's a windstorm coming. Something you probably don't know. A basketball hoop tipping over can poke a hole in a car roof like a can opener. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normandy State Bank, they do. Normandy State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normandy State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normandy State, where customer service is their priority. Normandy State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
The Junior League of Bryan College Station invites you to join them as they stuff the bus August 1st through 5th at participating HEB and First Friday locations. Stop by from 5 to 8 p.m. each day or visit them during First Friday in downtown Bryan. Your donation will benefit elementary, intermediate, and middle school students in Bryan and College Station. For more information and a list of school supply needs, visit jlbcs.org or find them on Facebook.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard. For 28 years, I've been introducing the world to politicians, musicians, athletes, and media types. Guys like Phil Steele of Phil Steele's College Football Magazine.
You probably had me on year one, and I can't thank you enough for that, Chip. Nobody knew who Phil Steele was. We were just trying to get in the marketplace. So I can't thank you enough for having me on that first year, and it's something I'll always remember.
Find out who's next. Weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. Saturday, what a day.
Hey, everybody. Trying to get positioned here. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Thanks to our friends at the CW for watching these first couple hours. And, of course, YouTube. I see you guys chatting away. I brought up the ESPN article about bowl games to start the season. Now, ever since I made the comment that everybody hates it, some people are starting to like it. So we go to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley, what are you hearing?
A lot. People chiming in. Arnold and Milliken saying, I really like that idea. Basketball does it with non-conference tournaments. 903 number said would make bowl games relevant again. Not a bad idea. Bowl games should be earned, not rewarded. Want those players to opt out, tie the bowl games to NIL money, let the fans work it out. A lot of different
By
things.
the way, it's still kind of earned because I think you would earn it the prior season, right? And it would set up a matchup against another team that is darn good as well. So just a thought.
Yeah, JN84 said no on the start of season with bowl games. Postseason bowls with the playoffs is like one of the only things that is left good about college football. Just my take. Great show as usual. Always, David.
Yeah, and here's my point. While I agree with you in the old world of college football, if we continue to get all of the opt-outs, then they're not the same bowl games, right? And if we do have a 16-team, 12-team, 8-team playoff to end the season, right? I think I'm just giving you something to think about. I'm not saying it's a perfect idea. Like, do I really want to take on, I don't know, whoever? Who's one of the top 10 teams in the country to start this year? I don't, but I do. But I don't, because I want an easy game. I really like those easy games to kind of feel things out. But there are the Ohio State Notre Dame games out there that you got to start off with a bang, and why not? So there is that. There was a couple things on the chat as well. I appreciate you guys on the YouTube chat. I know that Chris says, I think Labor Day Bowls are a great idea as long as we have expanded playoff at the end of the season. And that's what I'm getting at. Got to have that expanded playoff. All right. We're going to continue our dialogue here with teams in the third hour of the show. We'll talk a little South Carolina. But before that, a half hour of recruiting country with Ryan Broniger. Get your questions in on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. If you have questions for Bronny, you can probably do that on the BCSI hotline. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I got a meeting with my friends at Rollo here in just a little bit. Jackson, I'll see you here shortly. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio, and the difference is real. 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. All right, hour number 3 up next here on TexAgs Radio.
In Africa, 5-year-old Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her must walk miles every day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom that expands their minds, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses caused by dirty water. At World Vision, care about clean water runs deep. Deep enough to reach one new person with clean water every 10 seconds. Because every child, every person, everywhere deserves clean water.